Now I will speak about the fundamental rights. The basic rights of an individual to live life with safety and security. Fundamental rights are essential human rights that are offered to every citizen, irrespective of caste, race, creed, place of birth, religion, or gender. These are equal freedoms, and these rights are essential for personal good and the society at large. Why are they called fundamental rights? These rights are called fundamental rights because of two reasons. They are enshrined in the Constitution, which guarantees them, and number two, they are justiciable, means enforceable by court. In case of a violation, a person can approach to Supreme Court. The six fundamental rights are right to equality, right to freedom, right to freedom of exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational right, and right to constitutional remedies. Now we will speak about the nature. Enshrined in the Part 3 of the Constitution and safeguarded by the state, fundamental rights are equal for all. Rights are justiciable under Article 32. Fundamental rights are not absolute. They limit the authority of the central and the state government. They can be suspended during emergency. Parliament can amend the fundamental rights. Now, speaking about right to equality. Article 14 to 18. 14 says, equality before the law and equal protection of a law. Article 15, subarticle 3 says, prohibition of discrimination on the grounds only of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Article 16 lays down equality of opportunity in the matters of public employment. Article 17, abolition of untouchability. Article 18, abolition of titles, military, academics, distinctions are however exempt. Equality before the law and equal protection of a law. It ensures that every citizen shall be likewise protected by the laws of the country. The state will not distinguish any of the Indian citizens on the basis of their gender, caste, creed, religion, or even the place of birth. Equality before the law implies that all are equal in the eyes of law, and all will be tried by the same law and will be given the same punishment for the same crime. Now, social equality and equality of access to the public areas under Article 15. Article 15 of the Constitution states, shall not discriminate against any citizen on the ground of only of a religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, or any of them. No citizen on the ground only of a religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, or any of them be subject to any disability, liability, restriction, or condition with regard to the access to a shop, public restaurant, hotels, place of public entertainment, or the use of wells, tanks, bathing ghats, roads, place of public resort, maintained wholly or partly out of the state fund, are dedicated to the use of the general public. Nothing in this article shall prevent the state from making any special provision for women and children. The state can make special provision for the advancement of any socially and educationally backward classes of citizens or for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. The state can make any special provisions by law for the advancement of any socially and educationally backward classes, so far as such special provision relate to their admission to the educational institution, including private educational institutions. Now coming to equality in matters of public employment under Article 16. Article 16 states that there shall be equality of opportunity for all citizens in the matters relating to employment or appointment to any office under the state. These are some exception to prohibition to discriminate under Article 16(1). The state may reserve some appointment for backward classes. The officer in the religious institution may be kept reserved for the followers of the religion concerned. Posts in the state services may be kept reserved for the scheduled castes and tribes. Right to freedom given under Article 19 to 22. Article 19 guarantees the citizens of India the following 6 fundamental freedom: freedom of speech and expression, freedom of assembly, freedom to form association and unions, freedom of movement within Indian territory, freedom of residence and settlement, freedom of profession, occupation, trade and business. Article 20 lays down protection in respect of conviction for an offence. Article 21 lays down protection of a life and personal liberty. Freedom of speech and expression, which enables the individual to participate in a public activities. The phrase the freedom of press has not been used in Article 19, but freedom of expression includes freedom of press. Freedom of assembly, freedom to assembly peacefully without arms, on which the state can impose reasonable restriction in the interest of a public order and sovereignty and the integrity of India. Freedom to form association and unions, on which the state can impose reasonable restriction on this freedom in the interest of public order, morality and the sovereignty and integrity. Freedom of movement within Indian territory, freedom to move freely throughout the territory of India through reasonable restrictions can be imposed on this right in the interest of general public. For example, restriction may be imposed on the movement and travelling so as to control the epidemic. Right against exploitation given under Article 23 to 24. Article 23 prohibition of human trafficking and forced labor. Article 24 lays down prohibition of employment of children below the age of 14. Right to freedom of religion given under Article 25 to 28. Article 25 freedom to profess, practice and propagation of any religion. Article 26 lays down freedom to manage religious affairs. And cultural and educational rights given under Article 29 to 30. Article 29(1) says protection of interests of minorities. Article 29(2) freedom to get admission in educational institution. Article 30, subarticle 1, right of minorities to establish and administer education institution. Article 30, subarticle 2, no discrimination while giving grants to educational institution. Article 31 omitted by 44th Amendment Act. Now right to constitutional remedies under Article 32. Under Article 32, right to move the Supreme Court in case of their violation of a fundamental right. This right empowers the citizen to move the court of law in case of any denial of fundamental rights. Critical evaluation of human rights. No rights outside the Constitution. There are too many limitations. Preventive detention and fundamental rights. Right can be suspended during emergency. Absence of economic right, vague and complex language, supremacy of parliament over the fundamental right, special concession of minorities and backward classes are against the principle of equality. Now coming to fundamental duties. Fundamental duties are given under Article 51A. Added to the Constitution by 42nd Amendment in 1976 upon the recommendation Swaran Singh Committee. These duties are set out in Part 4A of the Constitution of India. They are not legally enforceable. They are held by the Supreme Court to be obligatory for all citizens. Originally 10 in number, the fundamental duties were increased to 11 by 86th Amendment in 2002. Now fundamental duties: number 1, to abide the Constitution and respect its ideals and institution, the national flag and the national anthem. Number 2, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. Number 3, to uphold and protect sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. To defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so. To promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all people of India, transcending religions, linguistic and regional or sectional diversities. To renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. To protect and improve the national environment, that is forests, lake, rivers, wildlife, and to have compassion for all living creatures. Eighthly, to develop the scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry and reform. And 10th one, to safeguard the public property and to adjure the violence. 10th, to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individuals and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of the endeavor and achievements. And 11th one, who is a parent or a guardian, to provide opportunities for educational to each child, or as the case may be, ward between the age of 6 and 14 years.